Okay, so today's session, session 4, we are going to discuss about how to connect to basic Excel file. So how to connect to basic Excel file and what happens when we connect to any data and what are auto-generated fields in Tableau and what is live connection, extract connection, and how do we save the Tableau file. So these are the ones we are going to discuss. So now let's go to how to connect to one basic Excel file. So this is some data that I'm going to connect now. So in this data, I have the information of region, country, and sales for that country. So now let me take this data. So let me take this data and copy it in an Excel file. I'll show you what happens when we connect this Excel file to. So I will connect this Excel file to Tableau. So let's save this file. So basic Excel file it is. Basic Excel that I want to connect to Tableau. So now let's connect to Tableau. So when we connect to Tableau, Tableau will automatically create some fields. So I will tell you how are those fields are getting created. Okay, so Divya, can you tell me what is dimension and what is dimension? Is region a dimension or a measure? Yeah, perfect. Uh, Narayan, can you tell me is country a dimension or a measure? Yeah, yes, perfect. Yeah, Rakib, can you tell me what is sales? Is it a measure or a dimension? Yeah, so which can where we can perform mathematical operations. So that is called as measure. So in sales, we can do some mathematical operations or we can do aggregation functions. So sum or min max, those aggregations functions we can use. So sales is a measure. So now let's open Tableau. So whenever we open Tableau, it opens with a welcome screen. So where we can see the number of data sources or number of files that we can connect to. And these are the old dashboards or the previous dashboards which I have already created. And the below, the left top below, you see there are some dashboards which are already prepared by Tableau software company. So these are sample dashboards, you can say. And these are our data sources that we can connect to. And these are the files, Microsoft Excel text file, JSON file. So now I'm trying to connect to Excel file. So just click on this Microsoft Excel and connect to this basic Excel file. So Tableau will automatically understand what is whether it is a dimension or whether it is a measure. Tableau will automatically identify this. So if you see region, as it is a text, so it is taking it as a string. So automatically you see this ABC. And when you have country names, so when I say country names, so the name has to match. So the spelling and everything has to match with the country names. So Tableau will identify those are so the names which we have given are the country names, and it will provide a geolocation. Okay, so it will provide a geolocation. It is a string. It is a dimension. So in this, it is also categorized it as a geolocation. And we also have measure, which is sales. So it's a number. So it is denoted with a number symbol. So so this will be automatically Tableau will understand what are the countries. Even if if you give city name, district names, and state names, and also postal codes, Tableau will identify these things, and it will provide geolocation for the whichever has the geographical location where we can specify in the map. So I'll give you some examples for geolocation fields. You can say country, state, district, and city, postal codes. Okay, so all this Tableau will identify it as a geolocation field. Okay, so now let's see. So we have only three fields that we have created. Okay, so region, country, sales are the only three fields. But when I go into the worksheet or when I go inside this Tableau workbook, so you see, apart from country, region, sales, there are other columns which you have measure names, latitude, longitude, and sheet one count and measure values. So there are some extra fields that we see. So those are auto-generated fields. Auto-generated fields of Tableau. And I will tell you how we use those fields. So yeah, Tableau automatically identifies the country names. So it denotes with an geolocation. And Tableau also identifies which is to be considered as a dimension or a measure. So if you see, country is a dimension. Okay, so whatever is given as a text or as a ABC or as a geolocation, we can presume it as a dimension. Otherwise, we will see this option enable convert to measure. That means it's a dimension. If you want to convert it to measure, so there is an option. And sometimes, let's say you will have some postal codes or sometimes employee ID. Let's say if I enter an employee ID 01. So this looks like a number, but I want to consider it as a dimension. So now add this in the let's add this in the Excel. So I'll just do a refresh. So I got this employee ID. So Tableau is taking this as a number. So I want to take this as a dimension. Okay. Employee ID where we should not do any, so we can't add to employee IDs. So which doesn't make any sense. So, or you can't do any mathematical operation. You can't multiply or you can't do any sum or min max aggregation function. So it doesn't make any sense when you do aggregation function for employee ID. So it's better you convert this as a dimension. So Tableau won't identify these employee IDs which has to be considered as a dimension. So sometimes we manually go here and convert into dimension. Okay. So what happens if you don't convert into dimension? If we don't convert into dimension, so let's see what happens if you don't convert it to dimension. I'm just doing a undo, Control Z. So currently it is like a measure. So when I drop it into rows or columns, see, it is by default, it is doing the aggregation. It is adding these two values. It is adding these two values. So which is not right. So you can't use that column. You can't use that column as a number or you can't use that column as a measure. So you should not do any aggregations for that. So that's the reason you need to convert that into a dimension. So let's convert this into dimension. So now use this column so that you can see each and every employee ID separately. So that's the use of converting into dimensions. So sometimes even if you give postal codes, so let's try with the postal code. Tableau identifies postal codes. So I'm trying to add postal code here. 5,08,000, 5,01,000, 5,47,000 or something. Yeah. So these are some postal codes that I have entered and I'll save this file. And if you do a refresh in the Tableau desktop, you will get that column. So currently we don't have postal code column. Okay. So when I do this refresh, so I will see the postal code. Yeah. So if you see here, it has given a geolocation. So geolocation meaning, so postal code will have a location. Let's say postal code 5,01,000 is somewhere in Hyderabad. Okay, this is a postal code location is somewhere in Hyderabad. So that location will be stored. Okay, where it will store? It will store in these columns, latitude and longitude column. Okay, to know the location of each and every uh, city or country, so we need to know this latitude and longitude. Not only in Tableau reporting, even in general also, if you want to know certain location or if you want to know the exact location of yours, if you have the latitude and longitude of your location, then it's easy to point. So whenever you have geolocation, you will have these two auto-generated fields, latitude and longitude. So I will tell you what is the importance of that. So you have this country location here. So it's a geolocation. So I'll just take this country into row shelf and go to show me button. So these two will be highlighted if it is a geolocation. So if you have this globe symbol on, so you will have this map charts or spatial charts will be enabled for this. So click on this. So it will show you all these country locations. Okay, so it is showing you India and all this. So for the sake of discussion, I'll just put some our country or our city names. I'll go here and create city column. I'll put Hyderabad, uh, Bengaluru, New Delhi, and what else we have? Mumbai or Navi Mumbai. Okay, so let's take this column into consideration. Save this file. Okay, so remove this one, and so I have added city column. Okay, so and I have saved that file. To get that file into Tableau Excel, Tableau desktop, so you just need to do a refresh. Okay, city. So if the names are exactly matching, so you have to write the spellings correctly. So Hyderabad, Bengaluru, New Delhi. So you have to write the spellings correctly. So Tableau will understand those names as a geographical location. So now that I have this city column, and whenever I drag this city column into the row shelf or column shelf, these two will be enabled. In show me button, these two will be enabled. And I'll click on this. Okay, so now I can see where Hyderabad is located and where Navi Mumbai is located and New Delhi and Bengaluru. So this way I can point the locations. So sometimes Tableau won't understand if you give spellings incorrectly. So in Tableau desktop, it is written, I mean, it has it as Bengaluru, but in some places we call it as Bangalore. Okay, so if you write it as Bangalore, Tableau won't identify it. Why? Because in the system it is stored as Bengaluru, Bengaluru. So what if we have it as Bangalore in our data? So let's see, I'm saving this file and I'll do a refresh. Okay, so earlier it was showing here, which is Bangalore's location. Now it is not showing. Why? Because Tableau has not identified Bangalore location. So if you write spelling wrong, so Tableau won't understand it as a Bangalore. So now we need to manually select that it as a Bengaluru. Then only Tableau will show us. So earlier we don't see the dot here. So we need to tell that Bangalore is called as Bengaluru. So we need to manually select here. So this is the name which is there in the database, but this name will be Bengaluru in the Tableau database. So this is how we can map the locations. So in real time also, if some city name or some country name or district name does not match, so we need to manually select that. So that's how we can make use of these fields. And whenever it is a geolocation, we can make use of this longitude and latitude columns. And when you have this geolocation columns, these charts will be enabled. And when you click on that, Tableau will pick up this longitude and latitude columns directly, or these fields directly into the worksheet. So that's the importance of, yeah, Rakib. Mm-hmm. There are nulls in the data. Nulls. Yeah. So if I enter something, if you want to show for nulls, if I enter some random location, what should I enter? Kerala. Okay. Yeah. So for nulls, if you want to enter Rajasthan or Rajahmundry, some location, so we can put that. So if you don't have any nulls in your data, so you can, if you have names, so for all the names, you can see those locations. Any other questions? Okay. So that's about this field. Okay, so now I'll show you in the PPT. Okay, so the ones which are highlighted in yellow boxes are the ones which are generated by Tableau. So measure names, measure values, number of records, latitude and longitude. So we have discussed about this latitude and longitude. So whenever we have geolocations like country, state, city, district, and postal code. So these are the locations, geolocations. So if you get it in your data, so country, state, district. So based on the values in your data, Tableau will automatically identify these fields as a geolocation. And based on that, you will get this latitude and longitude columns automatically in your Tableau workbook. So now we will discuss about the other fields which are getting created, measure names and measure values. Okay, so measure names are nothing but, so I'll just take the example of our data which we are using. So this is, let's connect to our Superstore data. Okay, so now I have connected to Superstore data. So here you can see Superstore. And now let's take this data. I will open up this sample Superstore data in Excel file. Okay, so this is sample Superstore data in Excel. So I'm just opening up that file. So it's a CSV, so comma separated value. So I just want to show you what are the measures and what are the dimensions in that Superstore data. So in that, I will tell you how these measure names and measure values are getting created. So right click on this and export data to CSV. So click on this, yeah. Okay, so here we have this sample Superstore orders data. Okay, so okay, I'll ask you about whether it is a dimension or whether it is a measure. Okay, so Rakib, can you tell me what is category, dimension or measure? Divya, can you tell me whether city is a dimension or measure? Uh, yeah. Uh, Narayan, can you tell me whether city is a geolocation or not? Yeah, perfect. And okay, Rakib, can you tell me whether postal code is a dimension or a measure? Okay, perfect. Okay, so these are mostly dimensions where we have where we cannot do multiplication or any mathematical operation. So all these are dimensions. And all these four which we have at the end, so these are measures where we can do all aggregations, where we can do mathematical operations and all. So these four are the measures. And now I will tell you what is measure names and what is measure values based on these measures. Okay, so these measure names and measure values are only for these measures. As in the name, you can see measure is involved in this fields. Okay, so this is about only these four columns. I mean, in this particular data, it is only about these four columns. Okay, so in measure names, field, it is saying that names. So we need to have the headers. So it will store these headers. Okay, so this will contain headers. Insert. Okay, measure names will have the names of the measures. That is nothing but the headers of the measures. Then what about measure values? Measure values, nothing but it will have all the records, all the values in it. Okay, so it will have all the values in it. So it's a combination we need to. So value, all the values of measures. Okay, so whenever you use measure names and measure values, so we need to use as a combination. So it has to be measure names and measure values every time. Measure names and measure values. Why we need to use combination is, so then if you have all this information all together, so when you have this information, measure values in measure values field, so it doesn't make any sense if you add all these values or if you have everything in one place. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. So that's why you need to have it as a combination. So when I say combination, so you can see discount separately, profit separately, quantity separately, and sales separately. So it has to be as a combination. So I will show you how we can use it in a table. Okay, so now let's pull up measure names. Okay, so you can't use one column. I mean, in this measure names and measure values, you can't use one at a time. So if you use only one, you won't, I mean, it won't make any sense and you can't use this. So it is summing up all the values. It is, what it is doing is, it is just adding all these values, summing it up and showing you, which doesn't make any sense. So now take this measure names also into consideration. So now you can see sales separately, quantity separately, profit is separately, and other columns, profit ratio. So there are some other columns which are there, calculation fields which are there. So that will not come. Why? Because profit ratio is the Tableau field. Okay, so it's a calculation field. It is not the database, or it is not the data source. So the file which we are seeing, it is having only the data source. So the calculations will not be involved in this. So the sales which I'm seeing here is, it is the sum of sales. So it's the total value of this one, 22,326,534. So 22,326,534 is the sales value. So that's how we can make use of this measure names and measure values. So let me give you some example. So these measure names and measure values, measure names and measure values are used to create advanced level worksheets or advanced level visualization. Okay, so the measure names and measure values are used to create advanced level charts. So let's see how we can create that. So let's take an example of measure names. So whenever I double click on this measure names, you will get measure values also. combined together, and I want to create a bar chart, and I'll put subcategory. And I want to show it as a, yeah, like this. I'll remove some columns, some measures. Okay, so this is called as a blended axis. So this is one type of a chart, blended axis. So here you can see two different measures in one circle and one place in one worksheet. So accessories, what is the profit and sales? And what is the profit and sales for appliances and all? So all the subcategories information we can see all together at once. So the importance of blended axis is one axis, one axis for multiple measures. One axis for multiple measures. So that we can do. So now let's see. So this is what about measure names and measure values. So not only that, we can do and different type of chart as well, where we have this sales and let's take date, order date. So now that we have sales and this thing, I'll create monthly, month and year, and I'll take 1 year itself. Say 1 year. Okay, now I'm able to see for only one measure. I want to see for multiple measures. So I'll, instead of sales, I'll keep measure values. Okay, so now it is showing for all the measures, but I don't want to see all measures. I want to see few measures, profit, and or you can directly click on this and select sales and profit. Say okay, and push measure names in color box. Okay, so each and every, I mean, you can see this is, these are showing the same information, but this is for date, and that's for blended axis. Okay, and now let's click on this. Okay, so one is showing for sales and the other one is showing for profit. So one axis for both. So this is nothing but a line chart. Okay, not only two measures, you can show multiple measures by just clicking on this. Like even quantity you can see, say apply. Okay, you can see quantity, discount, apply on this. Yeah. So in this way, you can make use of these things. So this is the importance of measure names and measure values, where you can draw a chart or create your visualization to show multiple line chart or multiple blended axis or side. This is also called as a side by side chart. Side by side chart. So in this 24 charts which are directly available in Tableau, it will show as a side by side bars. Okay, and you will see the prerequisites of those how to create this blended axis symbol. So these are the main type of option or available to create measure names and measure values. So I'll just take a pause. So if you guys have any questions. Yeah, Rakib. Hmm. Hmm. Yes. Hmm. Correct. Correct. Yeah. So we should not combine these two. Discount, profit, we should not add. Even sales, profit, you should not add. So how this gets separated? By using measure names. So that's, you need to use it as a combination. Measure names and measure values have to be a combination. That's why I told in this example. Yeah. So that's why I have showed it here. We should need to use it as a combination. Otherwise, it will sum up everything. So which doesn't make any sense. So you need to have the names and you need to have the values also. Yeah, so that's about measure names. And yeah, you mean the 11 p.m. session yesterday's? Oh, so that is a spotlight, like let's say spotlight calculation. Yeah, spotlight calculation. I have told you. So I've just taken category, okay, like this, and I have taken sales. Mm. Okay, so I have taken the sales. So spotlight calculation is nothing but you want to highlight whatever you have written in the condition. So I want to highlight sum of sales greater than $20,000. Then spotlight, let's say, else normal n. So this is a spotlight calculation. So if I use this calculation in the colors, okay, so whatever is having more than $20,000, so those will be highlighted with orange color. So yeah, yeah, it will be in the next sessions, coming sessions. We'll be covering this. In this batch also, you will be covered. It will be covered. It already in 11 p.m. batch, it's already completed. Those joints, blend. 25 sessions got completed. 24 sessions got completed. Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, can you repeat your question? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's already published in YouTube channel. I mean, do you have that YouTube channel link? Yeah, it's already published in that. You can watch or you can wait till this session. So whenever it gets started in this batch. Okay, so I'll take 5 more minutes. After this, I have some work and tomorrow we'll continue. I'll just explain about this measure names and longitude, latitude in this session, and other slides will continue tomorrow. Yeah, so measure names and measure values. So as I told you, so it contains the names of the fields. And this particular field is used to create the advanced level of charts where we have created this blended axis and line chart by using this measure names and measure values. And measures can be filtered or restrict the number of measures that we want to see. So you can just filter on, or you can select this measure names. So which all measures you want to select. So that is completely depending upon us. So based on that, we can select. And the other options. So to create multiple line chart, we have created this blended axis and the line charts. So measure values contains values of all the measures. So it basically covers all these measure values in the measure values. So that's about measure names and measure values. And longitude and latitude, whenever you have geolocation. So geolocation is nothing but when in your data, if you have the information of country, state, district, city, and postal code. So Tableau will automatically create longitude and latitude for those fields. And number of records is nothing but whatever the number of records that you have it in your data. So let's say it has 10,195 records. So that information will be stored in the Tableau also with a column called count. So this is orders count. So if you put it in the rows shelf and click on this text, you can see the count of records. So this way we can make use of the count. So you don't need to write any other calculation. You just need to take that column which is directly available. So this column Tableau will automatically generate this field. So there are 5 fields which Tableau will create automatically. So these are the 5 fields: measure names, measure values, longitude and latitude, and number of records. Okay, so with this, I'm going to wrap up this session. Next slides will continue tomorrow. So any questions till now? हाँ, सारे रोज का काउंट है. Line chart is line chart only. Blended axis is side by side. Mm-hmm. This is called as line chart only. Blended axis is this one. This side by side bar you see, right? This is called as blended axis. Yeah. Okay, then thank you all for joining. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you. हाँ हाँ, रिकॉर्ड मिल जाएगा. I'll publish it. Yeah, thank you, Rakib. Thank you, Divya.